And I'm telling you, the average person is held back every day because all they're thinking about is, how am I going to do this? How did I get in this situation where I can't pay this bill? And how did I put myself in this situation where I'm so unhappy? And yes, that's happening to a lot of us. The difference is how we respond and what we think about. Are there some people around you who you can incorporate? Are there some actions that you can immediately take? Have we considered the value of the problem or finding the solution to the problem compared to the value of our time? So maybe it's not something, it's something we sweep under the rug and we keep moving. Doesn't impact the rest of our life anyway. We spend a lot of time on it and we could be moving on. Are we positive through that situation? Or are we spending a lot of time being negative about it and that's not helping out?
If you're a go-getter, faith-driven and family-focused and need to break through to your next level, this is the podcast for you. Your self-talk can reshape every area of your life. It's time to dream and think big. Welcome to the Self-Talk Experience with Darnell and Tracy Self. It's time to elevate, baby. Let's get into the show.
Welcome to another episode of the Self-Talk Experience. Listen, this one here helped to elevate me to levels in my life, in all areas, by the way, of my life that I'm so grateful for. And if you've just joined us for the first time, I'm typically with my wife. She's my co-host, Tracy Self. She's not with us today. I've only done a couple of these solo. But for those who don't know, we have 4 children, 2 grandkids, and my wife is helping out with 2 of our kids who are going back to school, one to graduate school and one back to undergrad. And so I'm here solo today to share with you all, again, something that helps you to navigate throughout life and eliminate stress. This is going to be huge for many of you because I know how uplifting it's been for me. And I know how it has helped me to gain a level of peace in situations that I once perceived as problematic. Like I thought it was, oh my gosh, why is this happening to me? Why is this happening right now? This could have this would have this should have this. You know those could have, would have, should have people. These are folks who stick with and dwell on the same thing for years, and it holds them back from a level of peace in life. They say things like, man, back when I was in my 20s, if I could have, if this would have happened, dude, that's 20 years ago. It's not going to happen that way. But from this point on, we can focus on our current actions. I'm going to share these philosophies that I learned, and this is what the self-talk is all about, just in case, again, you just joined us. By the way, for all those who've been watching us, thank you so much for all of your support. We're into our 2nd year here, and we're excited about it. Thank you for subscribing. If you've not subscribed, make sure you do that. Turn on your alerts so you get the ding when we drop new episodes. If you're listening to this, whether it be Apple, Google, thank you guys for the ratings. We certainly appreciate you, and we hope that this self-talk experience has helped to elevate you and say better things to yourself about yourself, which eventually determines what you attract for yourself. And that's what I want to talk about today, attracting something different for yourself based on the things you're saying to yourself about the current situation, which may not really be a problem. It may just be a situation. So let's talk about that. So sometimes we run into situations and we deem them as problems. I mean, for a while, we dwell on it. We're like, man, I'll just give you some examples. So I don't know, you're in a car accident and you're like, man, I could have been killed. Man, I can't believe this has caused me to be late to work. And nothing wrong with venting for a second, by the way, and being thankful and grateful that you weren't injured in an accident or that it wasn't worse. What I'm saying is, if we're not careful and we focus just on what could have happened, the would, the could, should, then we're no longer focused on the actions to make it right. to make it better. So in that accident, at some point, if we're not careful, we'll never focus on why did this happen for me? Is it a lesson there so that this never happens in this way again? If it was controllable, perhaps we weren't traveling far enough behind the car in front of us. And so instead of being mad about it happening, how about being thankful that we learned this lesson we could teach our kids, we can teach our siblings, and teach ourselves. You see? So that way, there's an action that comes out of there that's different than what we did before. And that way we don't end up back in the same place. So this is what I mean. So I live my life this way, by the way. If you've been around me in person, I live my life this way only because it's now a philosophy that's just become habitual. So my son, who my wife is helping to get together for graduate school, did not have on-campus housing, right? Not housing that he really wanted to stay in. And so we're trying to figure this out because the off-campus apartment that he wanted to stay in is not available until a month later after he has to be in classes, which is not close to our home. So it's not like he can stay here. Now, we could have said, man, I can't believe this. This sucks. All the things we say that causes us to focus on the situation. So I'm going to give you some steps here because if you watch our self-talk episodes, you can go back and watch them all, by the way. Not only did we talk about challenges that we face, this is why it's called the self-talk experience. Our last name is self, and it's our experience and what we learn through those experiences. Because one of the things I've learned through mentorship, being both a mentor and being mentored most of my life, is that if someone else has experienced it and they're willing to teach me and show me how they were able to overcome that barrier, that obstacle, my gosh, that means I don't necessarily have to face the same thing. And if I do, I know quickly how to overcome it because I've been taught. That's why this is so critical, because you don't have to spend the same amount of time I've spent learning the lessons I've learned, because now you can listen to these episodes and perhaps gain some insight, some wisdom on how you can overcome some things in your life. All right, so I could have focused on, I can't believe, we should have had these conversations earlier with our son, but that's not going to make it right. You see, remember I said you could focus on what could have happened, what should have happened, what would have happened, or we could put an immediate focus on what makes the situation right in action. So that's number one, okay, in action. So I immediately thought about, okay, who can I call? Which means I'm going to go ahead and say number two. Number two is, who can you incorporate who can also help solve this issue? Who can you incorporate? So number one, of course, we immediately think about an action instead of just a problem. What action can I take right now? Number two, who can I incorporate? And I'll just share number three with you already and just go right through it. Let me do it that way. And that is, have we looked at this holistically? Have we taken a full scope of what the situation is? Because sometimes we're just looking at it at one angle and we're not realizing, you know what? We could probably do this instead of that. And the last point that I'll give you, and something that, again, you won't have to think about these once it becomes habitual. So I know it sounds like, man, this is a serious task. No, it won't feel like that once it becomes habitual, I promise you. But the last thing that you want to do is you want to make sure that when a situation arises or when something feels like a problem, that you immediately start to think positively about it. Immediately start to think positively about that. Now, so I'm gonna wrap all this together for you. So back to my son's situation. I've got so many situations I can share with you because guess what? Stuff happens almost daily, right? Especially if you're active and you're around a lot of people, because people deal with stuff, you deal with stuff, you deal with stuff with people. So stuff happens. And so immediately I'm thinking, okay, what action can I take? Who can I incorporate? So I thought, hey, I wonder if there are any hotels close by, like, extended stay. And there wasn't. So I'm thinking, well, who else? Oh, my nephew works for Marriott. So I thought, hey, let me ask him some questions about this area. See, I incorporated somebody, got some feedback from him. I'm like, okay, that's good. So then I called the manager of this particular property and I said, hey, I see that you guys don't have any extended stay, but here's my situation. And I'd love to negotiate my son staying there for 30 days. Is that possible? And what can we work out? And he's like, hold on one second. What's the dates? And so we go through this whole thing. And he says, yeah, we can work that out. And I said, my nephew actually works there. And so we worked out this amazing rate, family and friends rate. And so my son was there. Not only is he there, but the property is set up like an apartment already for 30 days. So my point is, we could have focused on the problem. And like, oh, well, maybe he's going to commute a couple of hours, maybe, right? All the focus on the problem itself. But I'm telling you, immediately it relieves stress. You get to move on to other things, right? Which, that's a good one too. You know what? On the spot, I'm going to give you another thing to think about when a situation happens. Compare the value of the problem, finding a solution to the problem, versus the value of your time. Because some problems, you're just like, you know what? Not a big deal. You let it go. It's not even worth your time. Because the value of your time is greater than the value in finding the solution to the problem. For an example, if there's a relationship you're trying to figure out, you spend all this time on trying to handle this problem, and you don't even want the relationship anyway. Like you're not even a fit. So the value of your time, spending months trying to figure this thing out, is not even worth the value in the solution, because the solution is trying to figure out what's going on, but you don't even want that. So that's another one for you. So all these things happen, right? And I'm telling you, in your life, for an example, another example. So so I had this custom pool table ordered, right? They build it white glove, right? They deliver it and build it in the space you want in your home. And so I had it all measured out. I measured out the space in my home where I wanted it. And they told me to send a video of the entryway where they would have to bring the pieces of the pool table into the home in the pathway to the house. So I did so. And they asked me to measure the doorway. I did so. And any doorways that they would have to go through to get to that space in the home. I did so. Check this out. They said, we apologize. I had already paid for the pool table, by the way. The delivery company and the people who build it aren't comfortable moving through those spaces. So we're not going to be able to do that. We'll see what we can do in terms of a refund. And I really wanted this pool table. I didn't even want the refund. So I said, well, I don't understand. Is there a reason why they feel uncomfortable? See, watch this. Is there a reason? Immediately, I'm focused on a solution, not focused on, I can't believe that. Watch this. This is what people do. And you've been around these folks. I can't believe that. I pay X amount of money for this pool table. I don't understand why, if I pay my money, you can't. This is what people do. But no, who wants to do that? Who wants to focus on the problem when that's not going to get the pool table in my house? Plus, who wants to make the person angry who perhaps is making the decision? Oh, by the way, back to my son's situation. I was initially talking to a young lady who was really nice, but she wasn't the decision maker. So I had to say, she was like, I'm not sure. I said, by the way, who's the manager? And she told me his name. I said, is he available? Give me 1 second. And he was able to make the decision. So incorporate the people. Okay. So I said, instead of, I can't believe this would have been great in my house. This could have been, right? I should have done this first. None of that's going to help. Remember, immediately focus on an action that can cause it to be better. All right. So is there a reason? Right? Well, yeah, the dimensions of the first door and the steps going down the door and the angle of that walkout in your house, it won't work. And I said, so for which piece? Watch this. The largest piece. I said, what's the dimensions of the largest piece? They told me. I said, okay, so if I can prove that dimension will work in our walkout, then they can deliver. And she said, yeah. I said, okay, I'll call you back. I had a partner of mine, Byron. He and I went to Home Depot. Because I incorporated somebody else because I wouldn't have known how to build this. We built, y'all, the dimensions of that part of the pool table. In fact, I may put an image of it in here. We built the dimensions. And not only did we build it, but then he and I carried it down through the walkout of our house and into the door, in through every door that it would have to get through to get to the space. I had my wife video record this, sent it back to the company and said, hey, we actually built a model of the largest piece and moved it to that space. I'm going to send it to you. Sent it and she says, wow, let me send this over to delivery people. Sent it to delivery people. They said, oh, well, yeah, we can definitely do it then. Thank you for that. The pool table wouldn't be in my house right now if I just accepted that it's not going to work. And if I didn't think about what a solution, this is why you want to look at the whole issue, right? This is why it's not good enough just to look at one angle. And that is, can they deliver it, or won't it be, or will it not be able to be delivered in my house? You have to continue to ask the right questions. This is a previous episode. Go back and check it out. You ask better questions, you get better answers. You ask different questions, you get different answers. And if you keep going, you may get an answer that helps you to solve the issue and solve the problem. All right, I'll share one more with you because I hope this is resonating with you, where you get to a place where, when I say everything in life, in my life, and my family knows it. It doesn't matter where I'm going to have my wife when she's back on to talk about what just happened when the FAA shut down all flights, grounded out all flights. And we were supposed to be going on a trip out of the country to celebrate my son's acceptance to his graduate program. So 6 of us, and they just shut down all flights. And they said there's not another flight going to that particular area of the world until Saturday. This was on a Wednesday. So I'm going to have her, because we'll talk about another thing on the next episode that will help out with that one. So when you think about all these different things that happen daily to us, and it could be, again, something as simple as you on your way to work and you run out of gas. It's the way you look at this, and it's the lessons you learn from it that will help you to navigate so many other issues that will come up in your mind, and you'll use what happened for you as a resource, as an opportunity to then move faster through things that hold the average person back. And I'm telling you, the average person is held back every day because all they're thinking about is, how am I going to do this? How did I get in this situation where I can't pay this bill? And how did I put myself in this situation where I'm so unhappy? And yes, that's happening to a lot of us. The difference is how we respond and what we think about. Are there some people around you who you can incorporate? Are there some actions that you can immediately take? Have we considered the value of the problem or finding the solution to the problem compared to the value of our time? So maybe it's not something, it's something we sweep under the rug and we keep moving. Doesn't impact the rest of our life anyway. We spend a lot of time on it and we could be moving on. Are we positive through that situation? Or are we spending a lot of time being negative about it, and that's not helping out? So situations come up. Some of them aren't real problems, so maybe we can even redefine it or label it differently. Just a situation. And it's something that we can do about it to move through it. Listen, guys, if you go back and watch some of the past episodes, without even knowing I was going to do this episode, you hear about a lot of life stories with Tracy and I, where this lesson helped us through those situations, whether it be foreclosure, repossession, not being able to pay our bills, trying to figure out how to maintain some joy and happiness when it felt like the world was on our shoulders. When I felt like a disappointment to my wife and my kids because I could not assist with the bills. All these things, when you go back and watch the episodes, now that I've shared this, you'll say, wow, they incorporated other people. They were positive through it. They found a way to be positive. They looked at the problem holistically from all angles, right? From a wider scope. So I just want you to, I want you to work on this. And the next time something happens to you, next time somebody comes up to you and they're like, hey, we got this problem. I want you to think quickly. Is there an action we can take right now? Did you make the call? No, I didn't even call yet. Well, make the call. Make the call. What's the worst that could happen? Make the call. What else? What are other possibilities? Have we considered this? Oh, I'll say this with you before I end. You know how many times I've helped other people, contractors at my house? They were like, yes, sir. And I'm like, hey, have we considered this? Well, no. I said, but is that possible though? It's possible, but we'll have to do this and this. Well, what does it take to do this, this, and this? I'm telling you, when you get good at this, you'll help other people through it. The people who you love and care about, people who are at situations. We've been in amusement parks. We've been all over and we've helped other people who worked. They were working there. They were working at the hotel and we've helped them to figure out problems that weren't really problems, by the way. They just weren't taught what I'm teaching right now. All right, guys, I'm done. I'm just thinking about all these examples I can go, but I won't prolong this episode. But I will bring up some other things when my wife is with me, because there's some things that I feel like she could help out with in this particular area, and her input would be valuable to our Self-Talk Experience audience. Listen, guys, this has been another episode of the Self-Talk Experience. Remember, the things we say to ourselves about ourselves, even how we look at problems, those things we're saying to ourselves about that situation can determine the outcome of that situation. So just remember, the things you say to yourself about yourself and about the situation you're in can determine what you attract for yourself and how quickly you get out of that situation. I'll see you guys the next time. Take care.
Thank you for listening to the Self-Talk Podcast with Darnell and Tracy Self. We hope you enjoyed. Be sure to rate and review this podcast on your favorite podcast listening platform. And we'll see you next time. And remember, talk good to yourself.